And we are live here on Wednesday, March 18th, 2026, a little about quarter after one, 20 after one. We are still working on markup of our T-bill, and we're waiting on legislative council. But there are a couple of other subjects that are still sort of outstanding that people may or may not want to bring up. And I guess for right this second, we'll start over here, Representative Corcoran.
Yeah, no, a couple ideas. One messed with things that were brought to my attention with JFO and the chair, but a couple of the things that, or at least one of the things that the representative from Burlington wanted was a little bit of money directed toward Drive Electric and what's that? Did I say the name?
Oh, I thought you said Burlington.
No, Drive Electric. Yeah. Brattleboro. Yeah,
that's what we're looking for. There she is.
Brattleboro. And I think I found a path to accommodate that. Last year in our negotiations with the Senate, and I think actually money came in during the committee conference, we borrowed some money from the pilot fund for things. And under that agreement, we were supposed to pay that back. And so that was accounted for in this year's budget. We were given the word from the powers that be that we don't need to pay them back. So that's money on the table that we don't have to cut anything, don't have to do anything. So it would be my recommendation to take that original payment, pay back the pilot fund to be funded for Drive Electric. And I believe we're talking about 290,000 ballpark, somewhere around there. And so that's the first one. And then the second issue I wanted to bring up is with this miles base program, obviously we're going to start accruing money starting January to July. And I think we would need Liz Council to, joint fiscal to give us a ballpark of what that's going to generate. And whatever that number is, I think we should make a statement of where that should be directed, wherever it may be. But it's very rare that our committee gets to decide before we actually are told where the money goes. This is a little bit unique in the fact that, it hasn't been spoken for. So I think, my recommendation is looking towards, the towns, whatever program or, whatever we decide. So those are two issues that I put out there for, discussion.
I think we heard in the testimony that under the Drive Electric that there is funding through at least September, at least through the end of September, and that there was other work that the agency was working in negotiations with Drive Electric. So there is, at least I gathered from the testimony, there's an expectation that Drive Electric has a role within the agency, and that there's an expectation piece there. Those are some of the pieces that I remember about that part. Representative Burke, did you want to?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that I think that would be a great thing to do. Maybe, and we've given them 325 last year. 290 sounds great. And I think that they do really important work. And I know the work, as I believe, the work they're going to be doing with the agency is sort of separate from what their normal operations do. So that's great that they're going to be working with them, and they're a very important resource. But they do need the other money to just perform the ordinary things that they're doing, advising people on these public, go to their website, and very comprehensive stakeholder meetings. So great, I think. So I would appreciate that very much. Tim, thank you.
Representative?
Yeah, I would support this too. I mean, it took reasons that Representative Burke said, but I spoke to two different organizations outside of AOT, ACCD, who the other one was. This is where they get data on electric vehicles. I mean, how much are used, where in the state they are, all of that. And that's important data that is used across the state to encourage EV adoption. which is a goal for the state and whatnot. There are no more incentives and all that, so I think it's, and I've been arguing, improving on EVSE infrastructure and with Drive Electric on their education and whatnot. I certainly would encourage this. We may not need it forever, but as we want to continue to encourage adoption, I think it's a well done. We were told by the agency maybe some NEVI funds could be used for it, but on clarification, they would ask Drive Electric to do other things, not what they're doing now as part of that. So yeah, I think it's a good way to go.
Representative Wells?
What's the breakdown of that?
Go ahead.
What's the breakdown of that $290,000 again? A lot of it's for informational. Where's that? Can you refresh my memory?
Oh,
Where that 290K goes?
The $292,000 right now that I'm sorry, let me make sure I'm clear on the question. There isn't a motion on the table, which we may have to get to, but there was $292,000 on the BAA that the agency did not have to pay back to the pilot fund courtesy of the House appropriations. There has been discussion of a request for $325,000 or $350,000 for Drive Electric. Potentially, those monies could line up. What Drive Electric does is promote the sale of electric vehicles in Vermont, as well as provide the data. Perhaps somebody else could answer it a little bit more extensively than I. They've been part of the electric vehicle program for some time. And then last year in the T-bill, we put $325,000 last year
So
to support the work that Drive Electric does. So I'm not sure.
And that's information for everybody
Well,
to know about electric vehicles and the benefits. That, of course, not everybody agrees with, but anyway, a certain portion of them, I guess 15% of Vermont.
more than that, they talked about how they advise car sale companies on how to put into transition and how to move forward with putting in chargers at their place, businesses, where chargers are. So they provide a lot of data for a number of people, anything associated with sort of the industry.
And we've been giving them that money for years, about that much.
Well,
we have, I don't have the
the
breakdown.
programs were more substantial when there was an electric
Yeah.
vehicle incentives. And I believe there was a group involved in educating salespeople, and there was a whole bunch of statewide programs, but that's come to a halt, which is why the money was specifically put in last year for them.
So all the other money's gone. This 292 is all they get left to promote these programs.
There's potentially a proposal to spend that, to give them that money to continue the work that they do. I guess I want to make sure you still have the floor to your question.
No, that's all.
Somebody
I
else
just
can try
wondered
to
where
help
it went.
answer the question, I guess.
Okay.
Representative Burke can try to help answer his question about what else they do.
Well, just aside from that, the estimate that the sales tax collected on public charging is $1 million annually. So that's something that EVs are contributing to the economy. In terms of what Drive Electric does, it's a lot of stakeholder engagement, public outreach, technical assistance, variety of things. I could find out more specifically if you want to know.
If you look at their website, there's a
Yeah,
section here, shopping, so where to buy cars, how to identify a dealer who does a car, so they also steer you to where to do this.
Isn't that stuff they should know anyway? Anybody wants to buy an electric car, you just walk into a dealership and they'll give you all the pros on that. And that's free because they want to sell you a car.
I don't disagree with that. My understanding is that they were involved in a lot of that education and piece that was put together to help dealers be able to do that, but I wouldn't say that for certain. And nor am I.
Sounds redundant.
So whether we should or shouldn't do this, I'm trying to make sure that you know what they do or don't do. Representative Casey.
With the layoffs and stuff going on, I don't know, I don't feel very good about taking the money, when we're laying people off and contributing to prop up an industry that ought to stand on its own. I mean, how long are we gonna cobble this industry along? So I just, in lieu of the layoffs that we got going on, I don't really feel right. I don't think this is a necessity. I just don't. There's other places for that money to go. That's just my opinion.
Did hear Representative Welch.
That is, I would have to agree with that. EVs cannot stand on their own. As soon as they don't have all this money to entice them to buy, or tax breaks, or they don't have to pay, I know they're going to start paying mileage tax, stuff like this. They don't appear to be able to stand on their own at all. So we're going to keep carrying them until they get up past their goals, which they're never going to reach anyway, by the original ones. And we're just going to keep throwing money at it, sounds like.
Well, there hasn't been a motion yet, but that is the discussion. So I guess Representative Burke.
Well, there are no more incentives, no more state incentives, no more federal tax incentives. EVs are making it on their own. We're paying it, and we're paying an infrastructure fee. Happy to do that, contribute to the gas tax. So I would say that it's sort of on our own. It was very helpful to have the incentives to be able to purchase new vehicles, and it also helped to get very low income people to get into really more efficient, more affordable means of transportation. The Mileage Smart program. So Drive Electric has gone hand in hand with our incentive programs. It was a state program that we were able to use federal money to do that. But now that's all gone.
Representative Wow.
Yeah, one of the things that convinces me that this is a wise investment in the current climate is, where we've got a lot of global uncertainty with gas prices going on. There's that, but more importantly, we took a lot of testimony that indicated that there are a great number of EV leases that they're coming due. So these are going to be a ton of cars that are going to be out there and available to get to people. And those are really affordable options for a lot of people with, who are very cost burdened right now. And of course, gas prices being what they are adding to that. So if this can help them get a cheaper ride, I'm all for it. And so there's sort of a clearinghouse that helps people make that transition, which as someone who is herself kind of EV curious, but still on the fence, I think that could be very helpful for someone contemplating, I need a vehicle. What are my options, and why would I even want to think about an EV? Why would that be something that might be good for me and for my family, my household expenses? So to me, it seems that it is it's providing a really important benefit right now. But I agree with you, not something that maybe hopefully we phase out of this over time and we don't need it indefinitely.
Let me,
Yeah.
You're all set. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm good. Mhm.
Let me make this at least a little bit more process oriented. Is there a motion or is there not?
I'm happy to make a motion, but I'm reluctant to do so without a full committee, because I know how she'll vote. But I think she should be here for that. I mean, I can make a motion and leave it open, so she can come up here and actually vote just to move things along. But that's, obviously your discretion, but, like I said, I want to make clear, this isn't money that we're cutting. This is money that's basically sitting there, and we have, it's in our discretion of where we should put it. And I just think that this is, one avenue that we've heard plenty of testimony about that I feel comfortable. Obviously, I understand the other side, but to move things along, I move that we approve $290,000 from the unspent monies that were supposed to go to the pilot fund in FY 26 budget.
All right, so for the discussion we've been having, now we actually have a motion that are in effect debating to a certain degree, and then if I feel like people have had enough chance to speak, then we'll move it to a vote. I would, for my particular piece, I'm very concerned where Representative Casey had come on. We heard that the Drive Electric work that was handled for the agency was within a group of 50 to 60 people at the IC. And it seemed to me, wasn't straight out said, but it was inferred that between the work that they have with the agency, between the work they have with other people, other organizations, other groups, that there wasn't a job on the line, that they did not see that as part of their future decision-making. And we know that we've been through the agency has been through two sets of reduction in force, one in the fall and one again at the first of the year. So I am generally of that mindset, but that is just the direction that I would be leading. And I'm concerned about the view of how that's taken, but I think almost everybody's spoken on that. If anybody else would like to speak on it, I'm not looking to delay it any further or not. I just want to make sure everybody that has something to say has something to say.
Wait, just speaking to the $280 something that seems to have,
292,000.
292,000.
Yeah.
Well, that's 292,000.
which has just fallen in our laps.
I mean.
Or we just become aware of. I just want to point out that, that pollinator program that, was supposed to be federally funded and the federal funds are on hold, and I think that was $160,000. And I've been in touch with Jeremy Reed to kind of see where that program is, if it's, and I don't have a entirely clear answer. It sounds like the practices are continuing in the agency. I'm trying to get confirmation on whether that means that those specific projects tied to the FHWA grant are going forward or not. But that is a program that I certainly have a personal interest in seeing funding for, but I understand that time is of the essence. But I just wanted.
And we're talking about specifically Drive Electric request and motion right now. We can move to that if you wanted to bring that up at the next spot, but Drive Electric, the proposal before the committee is move language into the bill that would instruct or I guess to add to the bill that the $292,000 related to the pilot and the receipts fund be directed towards Drive Electric in this budget we are building. That's the motion. That describes it. You're right.
Yep.
Wait, is that Logan that's right? Does the agency want to comment on that at all?
The agency supports the governor's recommendation and have no comment on the availability of any excess receipts fund that may otherwise have been programmed or not by the agency.
Okay. Anybody else with comments? Otherwise, I would like to see if you are in favor of the $292,000 being directed to Drive Electric. Raise your thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And those that be opposed. The yours up or down or abstaining?
I'm,
It doesn't, I guess it doesn't.
I guess like, can I abstain?
No, you're in this. One way or the other.
I feel like we don't have all the, I feel like I've better answered questions. I guess if I have to go up or down, I would go up.
Pledge Council, JFO, you can see in our straw poll that the motion carried, the 200, we'll move to direct to include that in our T-bill. Okay. Are there other subjects, pieces, or not that anybody would like to bring up at this point? Or not? Representative? No?
Well,
I'll bring them up myself. I have to.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead. Representative Pouch.
Okay, I have some EVSE, some language on both transparency of charging and then a working group to look at it, but we've decided not to try to get it into the T-bill, looking for other avenues to move that forward, so.
Thank you. Now's your time if you want to go. If not, that's okay too. Okay.
This is just on money stuff, right? Or is
I
it
think that
policy?
we are at a spot where I'm not aware of anything else that we, are looking to move, we need to go back to looking at reviewing the language of the entire T-bill. If we're not quite there, but to start check it off would be our next step.
Yeah, or direct, because they're gonna need to come up with a number if we decide to expend the potential revenue from the NBUF.
Oh, that's the second part of your motion. I'm sorry. Or is it part of
Yeah,
your
well,
section?
yeah, because if we are gonna do it, he needs to get to work.
I thank you for direction. There is what Representative Corcoran, now what we're going to discuss is that Representative Corcoran is pointing out that, at least from the perspective, and we'd have to get feedback from the JFO and from the agency on this and spots, is if we're going to, if this T-bill passes and we do implement a mileage-based user fee on the first of the year, as expected, there will be revenue generated in this mileage-based user fee that is potentially not currently spent in the 2027 budget. It will be from January 1st to June 30th. There's some level of money. I don't know what that would be. I've heard estimates from between 300,000 and potentially up to $1 million, depending on when people file, depending on when they file their report, depending on whether they pay in advance or not, depending on a lot of factors. It may or may not result in a level of money. We don't know what that money would be. It would be purely based on an estimate. We don't know what consumer behavior would be. None of it's a first of its type program. We do not, it's a completely unknown what that number would be. It would be an estimate of some sort, potentially. We don't always have the opportunity to put money in places. This could potentially be an opportunity for us to, as a committee, decide whether we do or don't want to spend or direct some of that spending. That's my repeat of what, or my understanding of what you were suggesting earlier. We don't know what the amount of money would be. We'd have to ask for some estimate. I suspect it would be fair to say that it could be as from a couple 100,000, maybe up to short of $1 million. We are looking and have looked for, obviously we spent a significant amount of time at my direction on trying to find a way to help Town Highway and Town Highway 8. And we have no idea if that's going to make it or not make it. This might be something that's more direct, that we have a little bit more direct influence on, that we may be able to build some language around a sort of, if this happens and what that money would be, we want it directed to a town highway support, which is pretty uncontroversial, I think, in generally speaking, or nonpartisan. I don't know. Could be town structures, could be bridges, would probably be a formula face. It's easier. Anyway, if there's comments or discussion, or do we want to leave it alone? That's what's on the table at this point. Representative Casey.
I think that's a great idea. I really do. Put it towards the towns. The towns that have been level funded for how long now? I mean, I don't know. Personally, I think you should put it right up on Bethel Mountain, right on that, right over there where my.
I know exactly where it is. I used to drive it all the time years ago. I don't drive it like you do now, but I used to go back and forth Brandon and Northfield on a regular basis.
Oh,
We drive it slow.
but my notes still get.
We are not allowed to earmark money to specific projects. That's
No, I know, I'm only-
hypothetical of evaluation. That's why we have this big white book that the agency creates.
But I think it's a great idea to put
I
it.
do want to clarify, this would only be through the end of the budget year. This isn't something that would be an ongoing.
Right.
No, yeah, it's one, theoretically.
It's a one-time
Yeah, yeah,
opportunity.
one time.
Where would it go in the future? Go to.
Well, the governor's recommended budget would come and tell us how they want to spend it. At this point.
Go to the T fund.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, it would be money that's going to, yes. Are we out of the rails? Is there any part of this that doesn't fit into something that we can do? Try, it's still gotta go through other committees, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, we just need a number, so if everybody's comfortable sort of
Yeah.
maybe trying to get a number, we can tell. This little bit.
Was that a hand, I know there's a hand up here, is that a Representative Pouch?
Yeah, I like Rep. Casey's idea. Since it's one-time money, we can't start anything new or whatnot. But I know our towns will take whatever they can, and it's equally distributed among all the towns. If somebody told our town, you got another $30,000, they know what to do in our road program. New culvert, whatever it might be. So they've got plenty to put it on. And I think that's a great idea.
I wasn't sure if
Oh, you're,
the question's gonna be whether the agency wants to comment now or not. I don't know if you want to comment now or not.
No, not quite yet.
And does anybody else in the committee want to comment? Concerns with doing this? Is there a warning flag popping up to anybody why we shouldn't try? Can we make a motion?
Yeah, well, I move, directly, it doesn't need a number, but I move to have, joint fiscal, do what analysis that they can to give us a ballpark number that we can have for discussion to, put towards towns.
Second.
Anybody in favor? And we'll be looking at what language we need to be able to do this.
That's not a good luck.
Uh-oh.
I think the concern I'm gonna express is I'm not sure we could get a number. And get language that's gonna work on this in the time you have before you get to vote. So there's a question of whether you want to consider this as an amendment. The bill, on the
I don't
floor.
actually confused me, Terry, today, so I'll go back and walk through it.
Yeah, so it might be, yeah, but I think.
I will have to apologize and say that, I guess I shouldn't be mumbling. I don't feel that it's. I know that I think everybody's aware that we are expected to finish this T-bill today. But I don't think that we can go back through get the walkthrough with the changes that we've just made and do a walkthrough of the entire bill today, unless we're going to come back after floor and work into the night. I think at this point, they have marching orders for 3 or 4 pieces, like that drive electric, like this, like the language changes on the MBUF, like putting the entire proposal together. Well, since we still have to prove the things we've asked them to do, then we have to see the entire bill.
Yeah,
So we need to come back here when you have the pieces together that we just asked earlier, meaning drive electric and
I have drive electric drafted separately. I have all the changes that you asked for the T-bill before lunch drafted, and those are matched and posted them by now. I have the changes to the MBUF drafted. And those should be posted, so we can go through all of that. The thing we don't have is a projection for the revenues that are gonna be coming in on MBUF, which is somewhat dependent on the number of newly registered vehicles. Because you won't have mileage reporting periods ending. But that, within that first 6 months. So it could be a fairly limited.
well, I mean, you still have the opportunity for someone to pay up front. I mean,
Yeah,
That could
and
be-
pay as you go.
the pay as you go, I mean, I know it's like a crapshoot, but unfortunately, that's how we operate. We need a number to go off of, whether or not, it's accurate, doesn't mean the whole thing is, our budget's based on
estimates.
estimates, so, yeah.
Representative Powell?
Do we need to put a number on? Can we not just say, what's collected during this time? We could put an estimate on it, but that can be applied.
Is it one of these things where you have to put up to a certain amount, or does it have to, could it be just the fees that are collected under this program for this period are directed to the town highways?
You could draft it to say that up to blank amount collected from the program within this period of time shall be directed to the town highway aid. And then make that contingent on sufficient funds being a certain minimum level of funding being collected. The things that I would want to hear about to be comfortable with how to draft this are the logistics from the agency side as far as how quickly are they going to have receipts and be able to, administrative costs and other things that are working out in the initial period there, whether there's anything like that we need to figure out. Or whether we should set, some benchmark points where they figure out what their receipts are at that point. And start putting that in, but those are sort of the logistics I can draft language that says up to blank amount from revenues collected are dedicated to this, and that this is contingent on, you know, whatever you want to set the contingencies. Being, net positive revenues in excess of whatever it is, et cetera, but I just don't know the logistics on the back end, but if the contingent funding is doable.
It's, I feel like I'm not sure whether we're giving this its proper testimony and its proper review. We've already gone into a couple of areas like that. Whether it's something we can move on that quickly or not, whether we've heard the testimony that we need to, and whether we've given the agency a chance to review and comment. I'm a little concerned that we're not following our normal procedure, but I'm not saying that should stop us. I'm just sharing that I'm not sure that this is moving this quickly on a last minute thing without testimony is a good idea or not. But I sure do believe that the committee is pretty unified on helping towns. I don't, you look like you were or were not looking to speak. I'd be interested to hear what the agency had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Record Michelle Boomhauer, Vermont Agency of Transportation. I think the logistics of distributing the money through the town highway aid formula program for revenues collected from January 1st to June 30th. Obviously there's a little bit of time for closeout that happens at the end of the year. So, I would expect that by the end of July, we would know what the number was, and we would simply cut those checks based on the formula. So I don't think it's that high an administrative burden. I also don't think it's that substantial an amount of money in the scheme of things, so not sure that there's a need to set a specific cap. Other committees may comment otherwise. I'm not sure of all the ins and outs of appropriations in that regard. However, in general, I would say that the agency will not have had time to consider, whether we concur with this recommendation or oppose it. I would generally say we likely would oppose obligating these funds based on the fact that they are outside of the governor's recommend. But just to speak to some of the logistics that I think you were looking for.
Yes.
Would just say that if you're drafting things so that it's you're allocating the funds to the next fiscal year, it's a little less complicated from my end. Again, I can't speak for the agency on their end, but from my end, if you draft it, you can have language that says, net revenues collected during that period after fiscal year closeout shall be allocated to town highway funding and shall not affect.
We don't want to affect this year's budget.
Yeah, shall not affect that.
I certainly am all about not touching this year's budget.
Yeah.
That certainly makes it easier.
But simple.
I'm not sure that is work or not, or does it end up being a new budget and then?
Well, it's a new budget, but the problem in that scenario is they're just gonna sweep it because there's general boilerplate language where there's a secretary discretion to move money around, their shortfalls.
But not if it's specific, that says, right?
Sure, they can go up there. I mean, we can get testimony on that, but I'm pretty sure he has the authority. Yeah, it happened to one of my projects, so the reason why I say yes, they took the money away, but yeah.
Yeah, there is general authority for the secretary to make adjustments to address shortfalls in the budget and so forth. It is cabined within the statute, but there's general authority to move money around and to address things like that. It also relates to projects that, for whatever reason, can't move forward as they were projected to, so that the funds can be reallocated to something else. And I can pull that up if the committee wants more information on it, but there's general authority in Title 19 around that.
Okay. I think there's a couple pieces at this point. We need to make sure that we can move forward on that. And then we should go through the changes that have been made and then be able to say, yes, we're done with making changes. Get us the full and complete bill. We'll come back to it and walk through the whole thing and finish it probably tomorrow morning. Unless they're insistent we come back after 4 or leave floor again.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do, is make sure that you made the changes that we already had earlier today. We'll start working on, maybe I'll come back to that. I'm not sure how can we do this or not do this. We'll take a quick break, talk about that, ask some of those questions. Before we take the break, I want you to go through the changes that have already been made, I guess. Then I want to get us to a spot where we can have a complete T-bill for everybody to review and then walk through it. There's sort of made a motion to go do this, or was under discussion? Good idea.
No, I didn't make a motion. I forget if I did or rescind it.
Did we make,
Yeah, I think
somebody else can make a
Probably
motion
has
if they want to.
let it marinate a little bit. Yeah, maybe just go through this stuff and we can circle back around. Just trying to digest. what
Not sure
you
whether we
said.
can or can't do it this quickly or whether.
Yeah,
Whether it's a good policy to do this or not.
Yeah.
So we're gonna table that till after our break. What I would say right now is that I will make a motion as the chair that language that we had heard previously related to our colleagues from Derby and Newport related to the BB spur, they would like it specifically exempted from snowmobile use. I think that you heard that there was a petition. I think you heard that the local landowners on that trail have been enjoying, have had a real workable scenario for a long time. There's a group that grooms the trail for cross-country skiing for the North Country High School, that there's a group of local citizens that would prefer that it not be allowed for snowmobile use. And our Republican colleagues that asked me for it, I would told them that I would certainly make the attempt to put it in the T-bill. So I would make a motion to have that piece added to the T-bill. Anybody has any comments or concerns? Representative Pouch?
Yeah, I'm reluctant to do that. I think because, rail banked trails have controlled by the federal government to some extent. And we were told that snow machines are allowed and other mechanical, vehicles are not. And if we were to go down that path, I'd be afraid, we'd have to defend it, and just seems like we don't want to upset the whole system we have in place. And on all the rest of the trails, they seem to get along with both VAST and users. So that's what would be required here.
Representative Casey?
Down my way, there's a rail trail down there, and I'm worried about the message that we'd be sending to maybe the wrong ears that, when we're gonna start opening up a can of worms is what I'm kind of worried about. Kind of like what Phil said, so I'm definitely not for it, so just leave it the way it is.
Representative White?
I am in agreement with Representative Pouch and Casey. Based on testimony we heard yesterday from Jackie Casino, that there is a mechanism for people who are unhappy with what's going on the rail trails to reach out to this group or Jackie to go, and it sounds like they have addressed numerous issues over the years in a successful manner. So it sounded like this group had not gone through the appropriate channels to voice their concerns, which I think is important, and that we shouldn't be changing legislation at least before the proper channels have been gone through. And if it comes to loggerheads, maybe we can revisit it, but I don't feel like that has been done. So I would also be reluctant to include it in the bill.
More, discussion? I think just move the question along. I call the question. That was put forward by Chair Walker. All those in favor of the chair's motion signify by raising their hand.
The chair's motion to put it in.
To put it in.
Okay,
Yeah.
all those in favor?
All those opposed?
Okay, so our alleged counsel has the language of the T-bills, that the corrections we asked for earlier today. Maybe we can walk through those so that we can then be pretty close to a final T-bill that we can take our actual full walkthrough through. That,
Yeah.
are we on track?
Well,
We need to see the corrections that were made,
yeah, the correction is made and,
and then we got
the only other.
a break, actually, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, shoot, 6:06 is coming to the floor.
Oh,
Yeah, it's on the floor, right?
All right, then we're adjourned until after 6:06.